and welcome to the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world show made for the fans by a fan. I am your host, as always, Richard Tiemann. This is the award-winning Fan Show. I'd like to thank you all for joining me on this Wednesday episode. This is our bittersweet episode. It is a brand new episode. We do have a fantastic guest lined up for you. Commissioner of the National Arena League, Chris Siegfried, was kind enough to join me. Of course, it is that time of year that we shift the focus from the 11-on-11 football played outdoor and indoor to the football played on half the field, half the length, a third of the width, and a 9-on-9 indoor and arena football. So, here we are. The IFL has announced their schedule, and the NAL is about to announce theirs, so we are looking towards the next activity that will keep us occupied. It is indoor and arena football. So what does that mean for me here? Well, not really a whole lot. I mean, obviously, that's my busy season. Very happy to have the opportunity to talk to Mr. Siegfried about the NAL and some teasers and stuff that's upcoming. But when it comes to this episode in particular, I decided, normally I trudge through because NFL goes all December long and then into January and whatnot. But we've got the College Gridiron Showcase coming up January 5th through 9th. And then, of course, we've got my birthday this weekend on Saturday. Eagles are playing this weekend. I can't be there, unfortunately. But then the holidays. And so in order to properly prepare myself and the show for its next chapter and a new year, 2019, I have decided to take December off. So this is the last new regularly scheduled episode of the calendar year. There will still be the new weekly specials for the College Gridiron Showcase. In fact, a new one. We didn't have one last week due to Thanksgiving. Jose was fine with that. But we will be having one tomorrow. VP of KT Tape will be on that episode. Great conversation. Very informative, educational. If you're an athlete, I suggest you tune in. And if you're an athlete, I suggest you go to the College Gridiron Showcase and the Free Agent Showcase being held in Fort Worth, Texas, because it's an opportunity that you simply can't miss. And with that, we are going to get into today's headlines. Headlines for the last time in 2018 are brought to you by Dynamite Enterprises, who did a tablecloth for me, and it is amazing. For those of you that have seen my final project for broadcast writing at Full Sail in the Dan Patrick School of Sportscasting, it was featured in there. I mean, the material and the fabric is amazing, and it's just a phenomenal product. I am so excited to use it at all future events, which the first one will be the College Gridiron Showcase. So if you guys need something customized, anything from merchandise, shirts, hats, even socks and gloves, beanies, it is the wintertime, polos, dress shirts, probably even scarves, I would go so far as to say. Or if you need something for a bit more promotional use, you need knickknacks, coasters, flasks probably, and koozies, tablecloths, runners, backdrops, all of that good stuff. You need to hit up Ethan at Dynamite Enterprises because, one, he's going to work with you to make sure that what you are getting is exactly what you want and that it is perfect in every way that it can be. And then he's going to cut you a great deal on it because that's what he does. He was on the show a few episodes ago, the first ever music special with Elephant Gun Riot. So if you want to get to know the man behind the magic that is customizing your world, go and give that a listen. So hit up Ethan, check out dynamiteenterprises.com, or shoot him an email, ethan@dynamiteenterprises.com. So the headlines. Well, the NAL, National Arena League schedule, is set to be released according to the commissioner, which you will hear from him firsthand in the next couple of days will be some expansion announcements, and then the schedule to follow in the next week or so. He said, don't quote him on that, but I feel like he's going to under-promise, over-deliver, that whole thing. And we've got a new episode tomorrow for our weekly College Gridiron Showcase specials featuring the VP of Marketing for KT Tape, Ed Terrace. It's a great one, so you won't want to miss out on that. The College Gridiron Showcase, of course, is coming up January 5th through 9th in Fort Worth, Texas. They will have a free agent event, and I cannot stress this enough. If you're a free agent looking to get into the NFL, CFL, or even the new AAF, you need to participate in this, because it is everything that you're going to need to show that you've got what it takes to play at that next level. And it benefits those that want to do arena and indoor as well. But college seniors and free agents, you guys got to check this out. So hit up Jose, go to cgsallstar.com, or reach out to them through the major social media. But Jose Jefferson is your man, and it's going to be a great event. I'm going to be there as one of the official media partners, and we're going to have a good time. We're going to get you guys a lot of exclusive coverage and show you why this event is growing and growing, going into its 5th year, why it's so special, why there's 8 scouts from the New York Giants alone coming to this. There will be a keynote speaker, the head scout of the Dallas Cowboys, talking about what NFL teams are looking for in draft prospects. I mean, this is like, free knowledge. You do have to pay to be in the event, but I'm just saying, it's like a week-long course that you get way more than what you pay for. So that's going to be happening first of the year. The Fan Show 2019 tour, as of right now, is a go. It is being planned. I do have to wait for certain schedules to come out. Luckily, the IFL schedule was released last week. The AAF schedule is out, so I'm waiting for the NAL schedule. But still a free agent, still looking for that golden opportunity to be the voice and or face of your league. I was thinking about it the other day, all these sports, baseball, basketball, football, they all have a face and a voice. A few of them now, obviously, because of how 24/7 the media coverage is. But back in the day, they all had one voice and one face that the fans were comfortable with. They relied on, that they went to for their news, that they got excited to see week in and week out. For a period of time, in the broadcast booth, it was John Madden. It's still Al Michaels, of course, but they've got their team of media analysts. Rich Eisen's a big player in it, and they've got Deion Sanders, and of course Kurt Warner, one of my favorites. So I can be that for your league. That's what leagues need. They need to have a person that is on your side as a sport and as a league, and that the fans know and respect and appreciate what they do. So if you're listening, I'm just saying, still a free agent. There's still time to get me on board and make your league head and shoulders above the rest. There was the first ever AAF draft last night. It was the first quarterback protect or pick, which it was 4 rounds for all 8 teams. So each one got 4 picks, and the first round was the only protect or pick portion of it. You could either protect, because each team had a quarterback signed and assigned to them. So you could either elect to protect them, meaning that you want to keep them on your roster, or you could pick, which means that you are not protecting the quarterback that was assigned to your team in your area, and so you would go and pick from the entire pool, pretty much, of those that were available and not being protected or had not been picked yet. Ran very smoothly. Hines Ward, former Steeler, was the master of ceremonies. Kurt Warner, one of the analysts. Trent Dilfer, that doesn't make any sense. And we moved right along. Notable transactions as far as the quarterbacks that got picked up last night were, let's see here. I have it. Well, I did anyway. It went away because my internet is stupid. Let's try this again. So we had notable transactions last night were Josh Johnson, he was the number 1 overall pick. He went to the San Diego Fleet. B.J. Daniels, former Seahawk and 49er, went in the second round to the Stallions. Christian Hackenberg, we remember him, don't we, folks? He went in the second round to the Memphis Express. Scott Tolzien, he went in round 3 to the Alabama Iron, or the Birmingham Iron, I apologize. And then Zach Mettenberger in the last round to the Memphis Express. So we've got quite the quarterback competition that's about to unfold in Memphis. The rest, though, they have 4 quarterbacks that they're going to test against each other and find out who's going to be their guy going into the future in this inaugural season for the Alliance of American Football. They released their uniforms and their helmets yesterday at several of the watch parties that were happening for this draft. I gotta say, these uniforms look great. The Fleet is my favorite, and I said that this might be my favorite team for this league, but the Fleet's uniforms look amazing, followed by the Apollos. I think the Express and the Commanders both look great too. Stallions, it looks too much like Detroit's, but it is a different shade of blue. It is a lighter blue. A lot of people are disappointed with the Iron because it's just black and silver, not Raiders necessarily. It's almost a charcoal gray, and then the Legends are deep purple and a light gold, so not necessarily Minnesota, but a few shades off. And then the Hot Shots out of Arizona, they are a bright yellow and a bright green, so not Green Bay, but I think they do look good. The logos are good, and this league is poised to really make a splash. So congratulations to the AAF on a successful draft. Very excited about what the future holds for this. Their league, their season begins February 9th. One of the first games that I'm going to personally try to go to, just cheer on my boy Herbert Gonzalez, will be down in San Antonio as the Commanders host the San Diego Fleet. So that should be a lot of fun. In the NFL, man, what a week it was. Aaron Rodgers and the Packers lose to the Vikings in Minnesota. And Packer fans, you know I love you, but you need this. If you want Mike McCarthy gone, you have to lose with a healthy Aaron Rodgers. Last year they missed the playoffs, but Aaron missed a lot of time too, and that was kind of the scapegoat and the crutch that they leaned on. Now, Aaron is a great quarterback, but they haven't done a lot to put him with personnel around him to make this team very successful. So that's something that I would watch for to be addressed if they do in fact miss the playoffs. There was a bit of a shift, a huge upset. Seattle on the road over Carolina, late field goal by Sebastian Janikowski after Carolina missed their field goal attempt. Graham Gano, now his was I think a 54-yarder, and Janikowski had a little bit easier of a try, but they now improved to 6-5, and with the tiebreaker, they have leapfrogged Carolina, so they're in the hunt as far as one of those last wild card spots go. And the Browns, oh man, they just laid it on the Bengals. That was really entertaining. That was something funny. Side note here, because I know people are going to ask, Reuben Foster was released by the San Francisco 49ers in lieu of domestic violence charges down in Florida right before they played the Buccaneers, which they got blown out. Not that that's related. And then he was picked up 72 hours later by the Washington Redskins, who released a statement regarding it, but there's no point in reading it because it's all bullshit. I mean, it really is. It's one of the dumbest, most owner things that an owner can say about why they did what they did. And at a certain point, I am losing a lot of respect for the NFL. I love my Niners, I really do, and I love the 53 guys on that roster for the most part. There's a few bad apples, but all it takes is, a few to ruin it for all. But it also doesn't help when you have ownership that is willing to take on characters such as these, with behavior and personality such as this. This is a sport that has, beaten the no more drum on domestic violence, but yet they continue to give second, third, and even fourth chances to guys that are doing it. And I just feel that that's incredibly unacceptable. So I am very excited to see what happens with the AAF, to say the very least. And, of course, the NAL and the IFL. Those are my jams. I love covering those leagues. It's a lot of fun to get to know those players. Very intimate type of sport, type of fan experience. So if that's what you're in for, or if that's a change of pace that you would like, I fully endorse it. So there you have it. As far as the games coming up, we'll go ahead and go through this lightning round. The Saints continued to win, and the Rams, of course, they won Monday Night Football over the Chiefs. And, yeah, I mean, everything that you kind of expected to happen in the NFL happened. Thanksgiving was something, but let's take a quick look back at the week that was. Thanksgiving, Bears over the Lions, short week and a backup quarterback. So the Bears, I don't know if they're that good. They are the division leader right now. Best the Vikings can hope for is a wild card, but the Lions are simply that bad. Cowboys over the Redskins, and then the Saints over the Falcons. Oh my goodness, 31-17 was your Thursday night football finale on the holiday. Bucks blew out the Niners, no surprise there. Eagles get a crucial win, improved to 5-6 over division rival the Giants. So they are still in the hunt for the division. God, I hope it's not a 500 record that wins this thing. Patriots blew out the Jets. Browns over the Bengals, we talked about. Baker Mayfield's comments on Hugh Jackson are hilarious. Seahawks over the Panthers. Jaguars lose by 3 to the Bills, and they have since fired their offensive coordinator and demoted Blake Bortles from starting quarterback to bench warmer. Cody Kessler will get the start for the weeks to come. Cardinals lose to the Chargers in a blowout, 45-10. Phillip Rivers proving why he is a Hall of Fame-worthy quarterback. 28-29, 300-plus yards and 3 touchdowns, and he sat the rest of the game. It was incredible. It really was. Ravens crushed the Raiders, no surprise. Broncos upset the Steelers, though. This was probably the biggest game of the weekend. That was very entertaining. So the Broncos stay alive in the hunt at 5-6. Steelers now reeling because the Ravens are right there with them. Texans over the Titans. They are now 8-3. They look like they're the popular pick to win that division. The Colts, though, have won, I think, 5 straight now. 5-game winning streak. After they started 1-5, so they are 6-5 now after they beat the Dolphins late. And then, as we mentioned, the Vikings over the Packers. Vikings sit at 6-4. So there's a few close races for division titles, but I do think that whoever doesn't win that division will probably be the team that makes the wild card, because the rest of the pool, the in the hunt teams, they just haven't proven enough to me. The Colts are the only team that have really proven anything to me. The Texans also, I think, started out 0-3. Yeah, 8 consecutive wins now. So something's going on in the South. It's just not happening to the Jaguars. Sorry, Jags fans. All right, and then, of course, our lightning round for the Pick'em before we get to my interview with Chris Siegfried of the NAL is as follows. So we got Saints-Cowboys. Give me the Saints. Panthers-Bucks. Panthers should have an easy time with that one, we hope. Bears-Giants. I like the Bears. Bills-Dolphins. Let's go with the Dolphins here to keep their hopes alive, although I don't think that they'll be in it once it's all said and done. Colts over the Jaguars. God, the Colts should win this, but I don't know. I'm going to pick the Colts, but this almost has like trap game feel to it, right? 5-game winning streak against a team that is self-imploded over the last 8. Then we have the Browns and the Texans. I like the Texans. Cardinals, Packers. Give me the Pack at home, of course. Duh. Rams and the Lions. I like the Rams. Broncos and Bengals. Both are 5-6. I got to go with the Broncos on this one. Bengals are they're in full Bengal mode at this point in the season. Ravens, Falcons. I like the Ravens. Ravens on the road, and I think they get the upset, and the Falcons will, better luck next year. Jets, Titans. Let's go Titans. Chiefs, Raiders. I like the Chiefs, obviously. 49ers, Seahawks. God, you know me. I got to do it. 49ers. Vikings, Patriots. This one, I think, will be the Patriots. I mean, it's going to be a good game, but the Patriots are at home, and Vikings are just too iffy right now. They need this win more than the Patriots do, but I think the Patriots will get it. And your Sunday Night Football finale, your Sunday Night Football matinee, I should say, the final for that week will be the flexed game of the Steelers and the Chargers. The Steelers at home, but man, the Chargers are playing good. Give me the Chargers in this one. And then finally, Monday Night Football, Redskins, Eagles. I like the Eagles. So without further ado or any more delay, here is Commissioner of the National Arena League, Christopher Siegfried, and myself. Enjoy. All right, ladies and gentlemen, joining me is a former Spokane resident himself, but he is now the current Commissioner of the National Arena League. It is Chris Siegfried. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, Richard. How are you?
Doing great. Busy, as I'm sure you are, because there's about a month or two's difference between the IFL and the NAL season, and so they just announced their schedule. People are making their plans as far as where they're going to go. They announced, of course, the new additions to the league. They were able to keep all six, and they have two that moved from one league to another, and then two expansion teams. And so now a lot of people turning their focus to you guys. You're up next. You got what's the workload like for you right now?
It's been like any of the off seasons in this game, it's always fun, interesting. A lot of ups and downs, a lot of trials and tribulations, but we are making some really, really positive forward progress. A lot of exciting news that is literally days away from being announced with our league, and some possible expansion announcements. And so it's exciting, and our fans have been very, very patient, and unfortunately we just we can't let the cat out of the bag until everything is signed, sealed, and delivered. So and it's tough on our part, because we hear the grumblings, and we hear the fans. They want to hear it. Give us something. But sometimes it's worth the wait.
Oh, yeah, and this will be going into year 3. Had a successful year 1 and 2. Of course, I was there with you as the Season 2 culminated in Greensboro, North Carolina last year. And it seems like you guys really have yourselves a model that works as far as not only a league, but also as a business. In fact, Billy Back, who I know from his IFL days, when he was talking about where he was going to end up once Wichita Falls folded, he had some decisions, and when he made it and chose Greensboro, he talked a lot, not about the team, but about the league. What is it in your mind, as a kind of new to this game commissioner, that makes you believe in the product that you guys are putting out there for the fans?
So that's a great question. It's a loaded question, so I appreciate that. My background obviously is with the Arena League and the AF2, former AF2. So that was my entire coaching career I spent in those two leagues, along with most of my playing career, or what little playing career I really had. Signed a lot of contracts, got cut a lot, but whatever. So I grew up, the first experience of indoor football was as an Orlando Predators game. I was on the team, on the practice squad. And this is all going to eventually make sense, right? So that was back in '92 when I was a rookie, and fell in love with the game. And I've always gravitated towards that game. And, all the fans of the indoor arena game, there's basically two brands of football, right? There's the arena brand, and then there's the kind of outdoor rules playing indoors type, and it seems like in the western part of the country, they play outdoor football. It's kind of like Canadian football inside, with all the guys in motion and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And we play, the arena brand. I've got a lot of friends that coach and are general managers in those other leagues, both of the other leagues out there, and they love it. Some of them still like arena football, but they all speak very highly about that brand of football. And all the guys on our side of the country like the arena brand of football, so what separates us, and why we're so excited about this league, because as I was coaching, I always want to stay with the arena brand. The Arena League was always the big dog of all the indoor leagues, highest paying, all this, always on national TV. They paid the coaches the most, all this good stuff. Something interesting happened back in 2007, and my wife and I bought a business. Well, I should say my wife bought a business. And so I started leaving for football. She stayed and ran the business. And as we learned more about running and operating a small business, and as the Arena League became more volatile and more more stressful, it made me realize that I didn't think it was going to last much longer. And that was, 07, 08, 09. Of course, it's been kind of reorganizing ever since. Along comes this opportunity a few years ago, and I was at first reluctant to jump on board, but Jason Gibson, who's a good friend of mine, and John Gregory, who's a good friend of mine, kind of pulled me in and said, hey, let's just give it a try. And as soon as Jacksonville got involved and we branded ourselves as a National Relay League, I knew we had something, some teeth to this. 2017 was kind of a crazy year. We had a travel team. We had, some teams with no money. It was just a really, really tumultuous year. We kind of cleaned up all the ownership groups going into 2018, reduced it down to 6 teams, a couple of 3 expansion teams. Every game was played. Everybody got paid. Everybody's happy. And then we kind of, a lot of doubters out there the first 2 years, but now we're kind of establishing ourselves as, hey, we've got a good, and this is where we kind of separate ourselves from some other leagues, is we believe in the business model for these ownership groups and for the league. Instead of owners losing, millions of dollars, if they run it properly, they can actually not lose money, which is kind of a crazy concept in business, is to not lose money.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where the momentum that we're gaining is exciting. We're able to, from last season and going into the 2019 season, we're increasing the player pay a little bit. We're going to pay the officials a little bit more. We want to continuously improve the product, but it takes time. There's baby steps, and you mentioned Coach Back. I mean, even from 2017 to 2018, you see the depth and quality of coaching going up. Jason Gibson's just, he's a phenomenal coach. He's does more with less, I think, than anybody. You add in a young gun like Billy Back, and I call him a young gun just because I'm getting old. These guys seem to be younger. And then other young coaches like Sia Burley over there in Jacksonville, and Amir Ishmael up in Mass, and James Fuller's obviously a great guy up in Maine, and they had some late season momentum last year. He's the KG vet of the group, and we have more top-notch coaches coming in for this coming up season with the possible announcements coming up in the next few days and weeks. So, there's some positive momentum, and what these players and coaches are starting to see with our league is a number of things. One is stability. Players are going to play all the games, get paid, get treated, as professionally as we can treat them. And we've got uniformity of rules, uniformity of websites, uniformity of fields. We're big on, our league's sponsored by Adidas, so all of our players are wearing Adidas uniforms. And, there's a certain look that we're looking for, that we're going for. So when you see a National Relay League game versus any other league, I believe our guys are dressed better. They look great. Helmets look awesome. Uniforms are, I guess the word is tight, I mean, they're tight, but I mean, they're tight, like, they're cool or whatever these guys are saying now. So, and that's all part of the big picture in promoting this league. And we want people, when they're looking at our games on YouTube or on NESM or wherever they're watching it, we want them to see our games and see, God, these guys look professional. They act professional. They play professionally. And, so that part's exciting, and that's kind of where the momentum's going. We have the ownership groups in our league. When we have our conference calls, there could be heated discussions, but at the end of every call, everybody gets on the same page, and we all have a plan, and we all move forward. A lot of people think in a perfect world, we combine with one of these other leagues out west, and who knows, maybe that happens one day. I think the problem is we want to play this brand of football. They want to play that brand of football. So maybe, who knows what's going to happen with that in the future. But, we're excited about where we're heading. People ask me questions often about some of these other leagues, and I'm like, I don't really know, because I only hear what I hear from the people I talk to. I'm not spending my time analyzing this league or that league. I spend my focus on our league, our ownerships, our coaches, our players, our rule book, our transactions. I focusing on our league. I feel like if we take care of ourselves, everything outside kind of takes care of itself. I'm happy that there's other opportunities in other leagues out there because I think it's important. I think it's important for our competition to have other leagues out there. It's important for players that, a lot of players live closer to their teams, and that's why they play for, an Iowa or a Cleveland or whatever cities else are out there. And they're doing maybe more of a career-oriented job that's going to last them 30 years, and they can't afford to leave for 6 months out of the year. And we understand that, and we hope that there's continued opportunity for those players in some of these other leagues. And we hope to continue to increase our footprint across the United States, which the ultimate goal would be to, continue to grow this league by 2, 3, 4 teams every season.
Yeah, and you guys definitely have some key players in key spots. Real quick, you mentioned, the Adidas contract, which Coach Back spoke very highly of. He's like, it's a great thing to have, which, for me in my traveling, I know that it's the little things like that. It's if I am getting a ride from someone to and from the airport, or if I'm staying with someone, or my hotel gets paid for, or I'm having lunch with a team or something like that. It's the less little things I have to worry about, the more I can focus my energy and everything else on the bigger thing, the more important things that need to get done. So yeah, a uniform contract like that is huge, especially for a league that's still in its, early years, in its infancy. But you have a coach like Billy Back, who's well-established, great reputation, well-respected, and then, of course, Burley, Ishmael, Gibson. And so you see leagues pop up, and you wonder, well, what's going to make them different? It's getting people to believe in what you're doing and essentially buy in. The AAF that I mentioned, the Alliance of American Football, they have Kurt Warner as their head analyst, very well-respected member of the football family, and they have coaches like Mike Martz and several others from the NFL, and so people are starting to buy into this league. And so when you have coaches like the ones that you do currently, and then you have an owner like Rob Storm, who also well-respected and great reputation, and then you have some key players in there that are well-known within the indoor football and arena world, it's that same type of movement. It's people buying into what you're doing, and that's the first domino that falls, and the rest is just making sure that you push it with the right amount of momentum in the right direction. I think you guys have done great at that.
Yeah, agreed. Absolutely. And, you mentioned some of our coaches and some of our, you didn't really mention any players by name, but, if you look at the quality of the talent of players that have been infused into this league, I mean, towards the end of the season, before some injuries set in, you had 5 really good quarterbacks, really.
Yeah.
McCollum was just pretty steady, probably, obviously the most consistent and the healthiest at the end of the season. Before the injuries, you had, Mason Espinosa, who's done real well last couple of years. Jonathan Bain, just second half of the year, just started clicking, and I think they beat the number 1 team 3 out of 4 weeks in a row. Every team that went to Maine at the end of the year lost. So it's like, and of course, Brackett up there in Massachusetts he's a good little player too. I like him a lot. He was an interesting character up there, Sean Brackett. But had a chance to sit down and have dinner with him after one of the games at the end of the season, and he was already injured at the time, but just really enjoyed the opportunity to sit down and talk with these guys. But the quality from the first year to the second year, the first year you had Jacksonville and everybody else, and then Columbus was kind of the one that came to the top of everybody else. You had Monterey, in the first year that they were kind of putting it together a little bit, but it was Jacksonville and everybody else. And something interesting happened in year 2. Jacksonville didn't get worse. everybody else got better. And it's something that the Jacksonville fans, I think it took them by surprise, because they, listen, they're in Jacksonville. They get spoiled, but not in a bad way. They're used to winning. They're used to, Like Alabama, they expect to win every game, and I would we certainly understand that, and the guys running the Jacksonville team are definitely doing everything they can to make sure they get back to that. But they had some key injuries, so that definitely hurt. And they had a couple quarterback changes during the season, but they had a lot of talent. They were a very good football team, but there was 3 other very good football teams, actually 4 other good football teams. Lehigh was a perfect storm of bad things happening, injuries, losing a quarterback, losing a coach, just everything bad happened. It was like the perfect storm of bad stuff on the field. So, but outside of that, we had 5 really good football teams, and we expect to have even more good football teams this year. It's going to be a very interesting 2019.
Yeah, and you mentioned obviously nothing that you can officially say as far as expansion, but I guess what my question would be then is what's the news on Lehigh Valley then as far as coming back next year and ownership-wise?
There's a possibility that they come back. We're hoping they come back. But again, until there's something concrete, there's nothing until there's something. And it kind of sounds doom and gloom saying it like that, but there's always a possibility. Hopefully we can get some people to step up and figure some things out. But there's so much more that's going on behind the scenes that, it'd be easy just to say to the fans, hey, this is going to happen in Lehigh Valley. But if that doesn't happen, then we lose credibility. So it's either going to happen or it's not going to happen. We hope it happens, but, even I couldn't tell you 100% that I know there's going to be a Lehigh Valley team right now. I do know the teams that are 100%. I just know that we can't necessarily talk about, those right now.
Yeah, and that's understandable. And to your defense, I prefer doom and gloom over the getting your hopes up because it seems like it's an annual thing now for Spokane.
Yes.
I don't know who it is that says something, but somebody says something every year, and then the message boards blow up about Spokane is getting a team or somebody's bringing back the Shock or the Empire, and then it doesn't happen. And I know that it's only... it makes it worse having more and more teams out west pop up here and there. But I prefer the doom and gloom because then if it does happen, at least my hopes weren't up and now I can actually celebrate because it's official. So nothing wrong with that.
Right. Well, I'll tell you this much with one of the ways that we operate is, there is going to be an announcement of a team, hopefully soon, that wanted to play last year. But it would not have been a good situation for them. They would not have been successful on and off the field because of how late it was. It just was not a good business move. And so we take our expansion very seriously. We have an expansion committee, and you can't just add people because they want to be added. Otherwise we'd probably have 30 teams right now. And 10 of them would fold during the season, and some of them would be playing with it just doesn't work like that. We're going for the quality, and players need to know when they sign a contract with the Columbus Lions that the team's going to play all season. And our ownership groups, they sign multiple-year agreements, so those are honored.
So I don't know how much you have your hands in the actual expansion process because I know that there's particular members of the league that are specifically in charge of that. But when it comes to a team saying, hey, we'd like to join your league, is there any make or break factor that you guys immediately evaluate that says pretty much yes or no?
There's a number of things, and I divert that to the expansion committee. There's a vetting process that goes by. It's more than just, hey, you want to run a team. I mean, you got to have a field. There's a lot of money involved in the first year of an expansion team. And if a team says, well, we've got, X amount of dollars in the bank, there's just certain, you have to buy equipment, you have to buy uniforms, you have to buy a field, you have to have a lease. And all these things have to be in place, or you have to have a lease in place, number one, before you can even be really considered, or at least working on the lease. And that's one area that our expansion committee has experience in, and they're able to help out our partners and help negotiating some leases. There's also a franchise fee and, the financial vetting of the group. So it's pretty standard. Every league should have that process, instead of just saying, hey, here's $5,000, let's play football. I don't think it's a good look for teams to fold during the middle of the season. It does not help the partners, because if you're expecting to play Columbus on June 1st and all of a sudden 2 weeks before they fold, that hurts the entire league. It hurts the brand, and it hurts the fans. It affects the players, and it's not a good recipe for success. So we opt as a league as a whole to grow at a smart pace. Hey, if we had 6 teams that we can, 6 expansion teams that all can get vetted and all get their stuff in on time, then that's great. The reality of it is, a lot of people say they want to join the league, and when it comes time to, step up and do what you have to do financially speaking, and say, okay, let's look at the numbers, then all of a sudden it's like, well, just trust me. Okay, we trust you, but here's the cutoff date. You didn't meet it. We're sorry. Next year we'd love to have you. And that happens a lot more than the alternative, and the expansion that we are going to experience did it the right way. But we do have interest for next year, people that did not get their initial stuff in time. So, at some point in time, you have to draw the line, and we have to do that. So we're hoping to make some announcements along with the schedule here within the next 2 weeks, hopefully. I'm not going to, don't hold me to that, because I literally just started working on the schedule this week, and, we hope to have it finalized quick, and so that people can start, selling their sponsorships, and so season tickets can kind of get on hyperdrive, and teams can say, hey, I'm playing Columbus, we're playing Carolina this day, we're playing Jacksonville, we're playing maybe this other team that's brand new, or this other new team.
Hint, hint. Well, I am very excited for this third year of the National Arena League. I think what you're doing there, whether or not it's you surrounding yourself with the best people fit for the job, or, you actually do give your comments and insight on how you believe this league should be run. But regardless, it has been a well-oiled machine. A lot of people really enjoy the game, the league, the teams, and I think it's onward and upward for the NAL. So, Mr. Commissioner, Mr. Siegfried, I do appreciate your time, as always, and for making opportunity to be on the show.
Thank you, Richard, and I just want to give you a shout-out. Really enjoy talking to you. I've really enjoyed meeting you at the championship festivities. I think you're great at what you do, and I wish you all the best.
Well, I certainly appreciate that, and don't work too hard, and I'm sure we'll be talking again soon. I'll be watching for those notifications to pop up about the schedule and expansion and all the exciting things coming from the NAL. So try not to lose too much sleep, but hey, I hope you had a great Thanksgiving and enjoy the rest of your holidays.
Take care, Richard.
You too. All right, once again, big thank you to the Commissioner of the National Arena League, Chris Siegfried. Always a great conversation. The man knows his stuff. He can talk for hours. I'd love to have, like a regular sit-down conversation with him, do a live one-on-one, and, just pick his brain about stuff. They asked me, how much time do you need? I said, can you give me, 10 to 15 minutes? Now, we went over 20, and we had talked a little bit before I actually hit record. So, again, so appreciative of him leaving me that window and that opportunity and not being rushed to, be somewhere else or do something else, and giving us a look into the world of a commissioner for an arena league. Yeah, very exciting stuff coming up. Well, Fan Nation, we have reached the end of the last episode of 2018. Last new episode. You guys can catch a series of best of the fan show, some of my favorite interviews coming up. There will be 4 of them for the month of December, so check back every Wednesday at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific is when those will be scheduled to premiere. And then, of course, the weekly College Gridiron Showcase specials that we'll be doing leading up to the big event down in Fort Worth, Texas. But I do want to thank you all so much for what was an incredible year. I really can't emphasize that enough. We started out the year with winning an award. Running a podcast, going out on an endeavor such as this, you don't expect to get nominated for a whole lot of awards, let alone win one. And we got nominated and we won, and that was incredible. And I thank all of you for that, because it was by vote, and you guys came out in droves and just voted and voted and voted, and really, I think, showed just what this show has become. And that is something that you guys enjoy, something that you guys support, that you feel like you're part of as we go along this journey to see just what the future holds for myself. I still have the Dan Patrick School of Sportscasting. I'm going to keep trudging along through that, but man, we did our second tour. I missed a stop or two, but that's all right. We went to 2 championship games, gave away 2 custom belts, and just had a blast. The interviews, the on-field stuff, the pregame, the postgame, everything it continues to get better and better. We went down to BattleBots, and we were some exclusive in the pit coverage, as well as interviews from the creators and the crew here on the show week in and week out, and that was such an amazing experience. And we've got wrestling stuff going on. Always a pleasure to be involved with local promotions, and then, of course, NXT, WWE. And we've got the divisions now. That was one of the big things, announcing the 6 divisions of the Infinity Gauntlet, as I like to call it, but the fan show nonetheless. So sports, music, pop culture, mechanics and robotics, wrestling, and then, of course, outdoors. And Brian Clum, Bobby Brown, you guys have been just so incredible. It was so much fun to go and have days fishing with you and calling it work and content for the show. But we are going to have a brand spanking new website hosted by WordPress instead of Squarespace. So I apologize to those of you going to the website and not being able to find anything. We're launching that first of the year right before we leave for Fort Worth to go down and cover the showcase. So we're going to have a brand new website. It's going to be so much better. I'm employing a team of people to help me with this. And then, of course, we're going to continue to bring you the best under each logo, under each shield, and the fan show week in and week out. We'll see what the future holds as far as how many times a week we're going to do this. But I do appreciate all of you that have downloaded and subscribed on iTunes, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Spotify, or Spreaker. And to those of you that follow on these adventures on Twitter, Instagram, even Snapchat, and then, of course, giving us a like on Facebook. Facebook showed the most growth in the 2018 year, and that, I think, has been a large part of why it feels more like a family than a fan base. So until next year, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much, Fan Nation. You guys have been awesome. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. We will see you in 2019. Get ready, because if you thought 2018 was great, I have set the bar for the next notch up for 2019. So, as we say, until next time, best of luck to you and yours. Go Niners, and it's all fun and games until you butt fumble. Good night, folks.
Do you remember the time that Mark Sanchez ran into his player's butt? That was funny sports.
Thank you for having me on the show, man. I love the fan show.